Hey guys. All right, so we're pick up with 2.11, so 2.11. We're going to be doing voluntary migrations. All right, so this is part two. It's going to be a lot of vocabulary. I feel like it's pretty easy once you get maybe the definitions of things we don't necessarily know or use every day. But we're going to be doing a lot of comparing and contrasting. Okay, so as always, we have to start with what the word says. Let me move myself, and then I'm going to leave myself alone. Okay. This is my fourth time filming because of this stupid bubble. Okay, types of voluntary migrations. We're going to be looking at transnationals, transhumanists, internal, which there's going to be two types of migrations for that. Okay, so within internal, there's going to be two types. It's going to be super important for your vocab. Chain migration, step, guest workers, and rural to urban. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so you guys took your notes yesterday. So now I'm here to kind of fill some stuff in. All right, so this is types of migration. Those of you guys that know me know that I love a chart or love some type of image. This is really easy, I feel like, to kind of organize what we have going on for this unit, which is a lot. And it's really more difficult, too, because you guys aren't there to ask questions. My Mitchell Gills and my TJs of the world don't have a chance to ask a question. So check out the Girl Through feedback form. I kind of want to know if you guys want to do a conference. Okay, so we're looking at migration. Two types of migration. Look at international. You guys know international means we're moving amongst the countries, right? Like if you immigrate from Mexico to America, if you immigrate from Liberia to Canada. All right. So within international, we have voluntary. Voluntary means you have a choice. That's what we're going to look at today. Do you see all this? That's what we're looking at today. Okay, why does this usually take place? Because it's your choice. Is we're looking at economic, so like you're usually looking for a better job, it's economic opportunity, or environmental. Something's happened there environmentally that is complicating things. Okay, within international, there's also force. So we have refugees, internally displaced persons, and asylum seekers. Okay, within that, it's usually cultural, environmental, political, that kind of thing. All right, then in internal, we're going to look at that today. We've got interregional and intra-regional. The big thing there, guys, is going to be the prefixes. More on that later. Okay, come back to this to check. Historically, rural to urban, so going from like the farmland to the big city. And then over here is moving from the urban city, so like Atlanta, out to the suburbs of like Decatur, Marietta. Okay, moving on. All right, let's go ahead and get a definition for voluntary migration, which you did yesterday. Remember, guys, I think the best word for this one is choice. It's a choice. Someone decides to either leave due to push or pull factors. I think the big question on the quiz that was kind of stumping folks was the question about the old people moving from Boston to Arizona. Guys, the only reason why anybody really leaves Boston to go to Arizona is for the environment, okay? That's it. It's much, much drier there. It's much warmer there, so old people, it's better for them. Okay, so they're either deciding to leave as a push or pull factor. Typically, it's going to be economic. A lot of the reasons why people go south, too, is because, or why the South's booming right now, is because we are probably the cheapest place in the country to live. Our standard of living is very affordable. You can get a lot of house for a lot of money down here compared to other places. Okay, so there's many types of voluntary migrations. We're going to look at these today. So we're going to look at transnationals. We're going to look at transhumanists. We're going to look at internal migration. Once again, there's two types of those. Then we're going to look at guest workers, followed by chain migration, rural to urban, and step. Not in that order. That's just the animation. Okay, so let's talk about transnationals. I got my little emojis up here. We got the globes. We've got the maps. We've got the different hemispheres. What does trans mean? It means like movement. So trans nations, we're moving between nations, okay? So a good definition for this one is a regular movement of a person between two or more countries, resulting in a brand new cultural identity. Okay, so I think the big kicker on this one and like the big asterisk part of this is a new cultural identity. So you don't necessarily fit in with like the old and you don't necessarily fit in with the new. You're kind of like this new amalgamation of something new, okay? You are a cohesion of like, two or more different cultures. All right, so some examples of this are going to be business people, international businessmen. You might be Italian, but you work for a German company in Australia. Go figure, okay? I mean, my brother graduated from Rome High School, played football at Shorter, and works for a Swiss company, okay? Stranger things have happened, people. Celebrities. I put the Instagram up there too. Think about celebrities or like actors and actresses that you know of that spend time between two different continents. Or two different countries, that kind of thing. So the big example in the world today is Southwest Asia. The big thing with that is probably going to be like the Middle East as well as India and Pakistan. And so this is where we gave our shout out to like Dowd and Adisham. And I got their permission, guys, just so you guys know, before I put this on there for putting their business out there for everybody. I did talk to these two gentlemen. So the idea is that, I'm not sure if you guys know or not, but Adisham and Dowd go back to Pakistan, gosh, at least, once a year. At least I know Adisham does. And trips to Saudi Arabia happening all the time. So the idea is that Dowd and Adisham are not necessarily like pure American, but they're not necessarily a pure Pakistani anymore. They are now this new thing of Dowd and Adisham. Okay. They're just the best example. And I know that they're in class. I know that I got the permission to talk about it, but I know we have students in the class too. And ladies, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to talk to you, but like, our students have spent a lot of time in America and also spend time in Mexico. That's a brand new cultural identity that they're dealing with, shaping, that maybe their parents don't understand because they're not as incorporated. Okay. All right. So that's transnationals. Think about like movement between nations. All right. Next up. Eddie just texted me. What's up, Eddie? I'll reply to you after I finish filming this video. Okay. All right. Transhumanists. Once again, I've got the globe up there and now I've got a cow. Okay, the reason I put the cow up there is, guys, this is periodic movement. Periodic movement. So periodic movement is like every now and then. All right, so think about like pastoral farming. Pastoral farming is pastors. So like not religion, not, Methodist church, Catholic church. This is pastoral as in like the pasture. Oh, think about where your school is. We're the cow pasture. Okay, so pastoral farming. What ends up happening, guys, is we have ranchers, cattlemen that are actually going to take their livestock and move them around according to the seasons. Okay, so once I put the best example up here. As this, and guys, this is a big chunk of time. This is not like a go back and forth, like commuting type situation. They are there for a long extended period of time. Okay. So like in Switzerland, farmers actually drive their cattle up the slopes of the Alps to these super high fresh pastures, during the summer. Those grasses are only available during the summer because it takes it getting that warm to burn off the ice and the snow for the cows to get that fresh grass. So they have to go, seasonally, which is, during the summer. So what ended up happening is their families actually go with them. And I actually put up one of the pictures here. It's kind of cool. I would totally do this. Their families follow the herds and they take up residence in these cottages during the summers. And then during the winter, they're not used because they're pretty much abandoned and they're under the snow. So it's like periodic housing. But the big idea with transhumanists is periodic movement, okay? So the first example I gave you is pastoral farming. If you're not really feeling the cattle life, I've got more examples for you. Okay, so remember this is a specialized form of periodic movement. It's a substantial period of time. So what about college kids? Thinking about you, Lainey, whenever Lindsay goes off to UGA, RIP, to their sophomore year this year, being over COVID-19. But college kids, usually they're gone for a while. I mean, they might come back on the weekends for like a couple hours, get the laundry done, get mama to feed them, but they're not back for long periods of time. Even on spring break, they usually go somewhere, okay? Think about military service. That's an example of transhumanists, all right? They're gone for a substantial period of time. It's not a weekend, okay? That's type of migration, and it's voluntary. Okay, so next up, we've got internal migration. You guys strap in for this one. We've got inter-regional and intra-regional. All right, that prefix, the inter and intra, is going to tell you what they do. Okay, so this is permanent movement within the same country. There's two types. So we can apply this to America. You can apply this to France. Okay, so you're staying inside the country, internal migration, so inside your country. Okay, let's see what I got up here. I put this all out of order. Just go with me. This is the most number of migrants whenever we talk. I guess the news gets like more attention on refugees, internally displaced people. But guys, the number of most people are just folks that move from, Atlanta to Cartersville. They move, from Florida to Alabama, that kind of thing. Okay, so this is the most number of migrants. This is also when we bring about the idea of distance decay. This is a term that we get from Ravenstein. Okay, I didn't actually go over it in the Ravenstein video, but it was in your Rubenstein about Ravenstein's laws of migration. Fun times, guys. Okay, so the idea is distance, it decays. Whenever something decays, it dies off, right? So the further away something is located, the less likely it is that somebody's going to go there. Guys, I'm not moving to California. It's just not going to happen. South Carolina, perhaps. The other side of Georgia, Maybe. California, not happening. New York, nope. Zimbabwe, no thank you. New Zealand, no. Alabama, closer. Okay? Think about it that way. All right, I've actually got a graphic for you. I'm not going to move myself because I will never get myself back, but I did include this on your note sheet as well. So distance decay is extremely important. Okay, if you notice down at the bottom, as the distance gets larger, the less interaction you have. Okay. I don't ever go on the other side of town. Like, the Zaxby's on that side of town on 113. I never go over there. It's too far away. You guys know I don't really leave my house, especially now because we can't. Okay. Let's break this down a little bit more. So once again, permanent move within the same country. Two types. First one, interregional. All right, interregional, guys. Think about like interstate. Interstate moves among states. So from one region to another. So a good example of this would be like from moving to the south, moving to the west coast. Daeshun, whenever you move from the north, New York, northeast, down to Georgia, that is interregional migration. You move between regions. Okay. Whereas intra-regional is going to be within the same region. So this is going to be you guys that move from like Georgia to Kentucky, or people that moved or going to Cass that are from Florida. Okay. All right. A little bit more. Inter, the prefix means among. That is very, very, very helpful, especially you guys taking the SAT. Inter is among. So like interregional games, you are playing amongst your region. All right. You athletes know what I'm talking about. Okay. Interstates, you drive amongst the states. Okay. 75 is not just a Georgia road. It goes through Kentucky. It goes through Michigan. It goes through Florida. Okay. So interregional migration. So leaving one region to go to another is going to be usually economically motivated. Okay. Somebody got a job. The most common one of these is actually going to be rural to urban. So think about like the folks growing up in South Georgia. Where are they most likely to move to? I don't know. Probably somewhere like, I don't know, New York City, the big old fancy city. I don't know. All right. So here are some really important corridors of immigration that are interregional for the United States. This is the southeast to the northeast. This is how my husband got here. He came from Pennsylvania to Georgia. The South Central to the Midwest. Okay. So like people from Alabama moving to Chicago, not nearly as crazy as, hearing from somebody from Georgia moving there. Okay. And then here's the West side. Kind of interesting. A couple more. This was actually in your Rubenstein. I had a couple folks ask some questions. You guys remember when we talked about like net migration, net in, net out? The South is growing. You can tell. People are fleeing the Northeast. All right. And then this was the question about like, where is the center of our country? Guys, this is all about like how our interregional migration in the United States is heading west, and moving further south. Okay. All right. Intra-regional, within. I guess the best example I can give you is when you guys go off to college, you might have heard folks talk about or hear about intramurals. Intramurals are like sports teams within the college. So like I played soccer in high school, but I didn't play it in college. So what I did was I played on the intramural team where we played other teams in the school. So like I played my friend down the hallway in her team. Okay. It's like a sports team within the school. So sports within the school, but I didn't play for like, Young Heroes soccer team or anything like that. So intra is within. If you are introspective for psychology, then like you're looking inside yourself, introspective. Okay. So the big thing for intra-regional migration is remember you're moving within your region. So that's older cities to newer suburbs. So this is folks moving from Atlanta to Alpharetta. These are lifestyle choices. Okay. People want to get out of the hubbub of the city. This is a newer one. Does that make sense? All right, let's move on. Intra-regional migration in the U.S. This is a fantastic chart to look over in this graphic. What this shows is, the center downtown of the city versus like that outer ring. So like for us, that would be like what's inside I-285 in Atlanta. And then here we get to like Cobb County. And then here we are. You guys know they're coming to us, right? Like we are very soon going to be like Atlanta. It's coming. All right, it's not just us either. It's Canada, Europe. All right, so case study in Mexico. I love this one. International patterns, because remember this class is patterns and processes. So as you look international, where's everybody going to and from? Well, in Mexico, they have net in migration from Central America. So that's where their immigrants are coming in from. Remember, they're coming in from Central America, which we knew that. What is their net out? They're going out to the United States. I think most people knew that. All right, inter-regional patterns. Where are they moving amongst all of the regions? Okay. What we got going on here is we got folks in southern Mexico moving to central Mexico, or excuse me, northern Mexico, and central Mexico is also moving to northern Mexico. I think like everything's going towards the border. All right, intra-regional patterns, what are they doing, guys? They are moving out of Mexico City. I don't know if you guys know, but it's like the biggest, like widest width of a city, capital city in the world. And where they're moving to is like other states outside of Mexico City, like neighborhoods, metropolises. No, not metropolises. Things like Alpharetta or Decatur or Marietta, that kind of thing, suburbs. Okay. Moving on, we got chain migration. All right, chain migration. Pay attention to this, guys, because this is like highly political. Kinship, family, knowing people. What ends up happening here, and notice I put like the 3 asterisks because this is super, super important. People follow each other in succession from one place to another. You notice the image down here too, the littles. This is of Manhattan and New York, the boroughs, the littles. So we get new immigrants move to places where family members and friends from their home country have already established themselves, and then they follow in succession. Okay, what this leads to is ethnic neighborhoods in American cities, so like Little Italy, Chinatown, that kind of thing. It's pretty neat how we have, we're going to talk about these later. They're called ethnic enclaves. But think about it. If we took you and we dropped you off in the middle of Mozambique, I'm sure the first thing you're going to do is try to find somebody that speaks English, right? Boom. Well, imagine if you already knew somebody that was in Mozambique. I think you guys get this. There's enough movies and stories, that kind of stuff. All right, I'm going to move on. From that, we're going to go to step. Series of small steps or stages in migration. You guys did really well with this on your Rubensteins, okay? So it's shorter, less extreme migrations from the point of origin towards the final destination. So instead of moving straight from Cartersville, Georgia to Beijing, you first start off and maybe you make it to Alabama. Okay, so this could be like the peasant family in rural Brazil moves first to the village next door. Then they make it to the town down the road. Then they make it to the big city. Then they make it to the metropolis of like Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro, that kind of thing, but a series of succinct steps. The thing with step migration is it becomes a victim of intervening opportunities, which can be good or bad. Maybe, once again, you got a great job along the way in the town and you didn't need to go all the way to Sao Paulo to make a living. Or maybe you met the love of your life in the village next door and you just never made it to Rio, that kind of thing. Okay, so intervening opportunities, that's a good thing usually. All right, guest workers. We talked about this. Remember when we looked at the population pyramid for Qatar? Remember they're building the stuff for the World Cup? All right, so sorry my head's in the way, but you should already have these notes. Migrants whom a country admits to fill a labor need. Now here's the big thing, guys, and people want to get all political about this, but what the thing is that we assume that the worker's going to go home once we don't need them anymore for their labor. All right, and guys, it's also a legal thing because they get short-term work visas. The government knows they're here. You with me? The government knows they're here. Okay. They also send home remittances. Please circle, highlight remittances. That is so crazy important. Okay. Guys, what remittances is you send money that you make back home. All right. So what this graphic is, it's super important, is the top 10 remittance corridors in 2010. One of the things that I know George W. Bush did as president was he tried to cap the amount of remittances that we allowed to go home to Mexico. They wanted that money to remain here in America because that can be an economic drain. Okay. So in Germany in post-World War II, they needed workers. Why they need workers? That's right. They had fought 2 world wars within 30 years of each other. So they needed some men to work. So what ended up happening is the labor need was filled by Turkish immigrants who were right next door. And guys, they didn't go home. So now we have Turkish people that are living in Germany, and they are 3rd generation of living in Germany. So once again, like they're that new kind of thing, but they're not moving back and forth to Turkey. Okay. They are staying in Germany. They are Turkish Germans. All right. They didn't go home. So Germany finally granted them citizenship in 2005. So 3 generations in and you get to be a citizen. So they are now officially Turkish Germans. Typically, not just Turks, but people that are guest workers, the industries that they find themselves in are agriculture, so like farm labor, the service industry. You guys know that that's one of the reasons why this COVID-19 is hitting the economy so hard is because we're such a service-based economy. Well, what happens when you can't get your services? Like, I need to go get my hair cut. Don't look at my hair. Well, that's a service. I can't go get it done right now because it could infect us. So that's one reason why our economy is taking a hit. We are heavily service industry. Industry, that is manufacturing. I think maybe you guys heard that like Toyo closed down until mid-April because they had some COVID issues, and Shaw's closed down as well. So once again, these are the reasons why our economy is taking a hit, and these are the people that we need. You guys aren't necessarily going to be doing this because you guys are going to college. Although I'm going to college and I'm in the service industry too. So just a couple things to think about. Okay, last one, rural to urban. This is huge, guys. Most immigration in the history of the world. Most people are moving from a small little hamlet, a small little village, to a larger, more urbanized area. All right, so this really ticks up after the Industrial Revolution. Why? Okay, it's because we now have machines to do work. So now you need to live in a city, whereas before that we were all agriculture based. So we needed to be spread out working on the farmland. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, so here's a great chart for you guys. So urbanization throughout U.S. history. Those of you guys that took APUSH with me, you've seen this chart before. So in the year 1800, we only had 5% of the U.S. population living in an urban setting. By 1920, okay, so 100 years ago, 50% of Americans were living in cities. And then by 2 years ago, 2018, we have 82% of Americans living in cities. I wonder what it is after we do the census. Have your parents put out the census form. I am doing ours today. Okay. Why do people move? Economic opportunity. Guys, everything's all about money, usually when you're choosing. Okay. Today, where is this rural to urban migration happening in droves? It's Latin America. Latin Americans are moving to cities in droves. Sub-Saharan Africa. The capital city of Nigeria is expected to be like one of the largest cities in the world in like the next 10 years, I think. Lagos. All right. And also Asia. I think we know about that, right? All right, guys, that was kind of long. I'm really, really sorry. It was a lot of vocabulary, but the more you know. All right, guys, stay safe. Love you all. Bye.